Rob Wolchek joins us with his Hall of Shame report. Rob?
This bad guy owns a car dealership. I started investigating him in December, and the more I looked, the worse this guy got. Hi friends, it's your old pal Crazy Rob. You say you want a Hall of Shame story, have I got a deal for you. You want a bad guy? This baby's loaded. Bounce checks, crooked car deals. Like undercover video? We got it. This bad guy's the pits. Don't take my word for it. Listen to some of his dissatisfied customers. So Bob wrote you 2 bad checks?
Yes, sir.
So you're worried that you may even be driving like a stolen car?
It could very well be. I don't know. I think his license should be taken away.
Bad to the bone. Bob Bennett, he runs the Auto Exchange, a used car lot on Woodward Avenue in Pontiac that specializes in fancy cars. And while you might find a ritzy car or two in Bob's showroom, you probably won't find Bob. See, he's avoiding people.
I've been here 50, 60 times easy.
50 to 60 times just looking for Bob Bennett. Rocky bought this SUV from Bob, paid his money for the car, but Bob won't give him the title. If you don't have the title, you can't get license plates, insurance. So Rocky's driving illegally. He's even been stopped by the police. Terry's in the same boat. Paid for a car, driving illegally, thanks to Bob.
I don't have a title for it. I don't have nothing for the car. All I got's a bill of sale.
Terry and Rocky tell me whenever they do manage to catch Bob here, instead of handing them their titles, he's always handing them some kind of excuse. So I hooked one of them up with a Fox 2 undercover camera. Watch Bob in action as he frantically looks for that title.
I know it's here, because I had my hands on it when I got the truck, okay? And it didn't fall through a black hole in the floor or anything.
Oh, yeah? Wait till you hear this next one.
I never lost a title in 27 years.
For a guy who hasn't lost a title in nearly 30 years, he's sure making up for lost time. I talked to a half a dozen people who can't get titles to the cars they bought from Bob. But it gets worse.
This is affecting my credit rating and my future.
Bob's also having trouble finding the money he owes people.
Every time I talk to him, I'm getting it, I'm gonna pay it tomorrow, I'm gonna pay it tomorrow.
Peter Franco took his car to Bob's lot, looking to sell it. Bob sold Pete's car and wrote him a $16,000 check to pay for it. The check bounced.
As a businessman, his whole objective and agenda is to get the best of people, to screw people over.
$16,000 is a lot of money. Just ask Rick Kolb. Bob wrote a bad check to him for the same amount after selling his vehicle. That check bounced too. It's been a couple of months now, and you still don't have any of your $16,000.
No, I don't.
And you have no truck.
I don't have a truck.
And get this, I found out Bob owes a guy in Grand Rapids $173,000. What does Bob Bennett have to say about all this? Hi, Rob Wolchek from Fox 2. Want to ask you some questions. Can you answer some questions for me, Bob? Bob? Yeah. The first time I confronted Bob, he took off in this sleek Infiniti. Nice car. Remember it because it's going to change our pal Bob's life. Hi again, friends. You didn't think Crazy Rob would let a bad guy like Bob Bennett get away that easily now, did you? Don't come around here no more. I spent days watching Bob's business. A lot of angry people showed up, like these guys who told me they did a towing job for Bob just a week ago, and he wrote them bogus checks to pay for it.
They told me for the last 2 days to meet him out here. This is the 3rd time I've been here.
And
never showed up.
Terry and Rocky showed up a few more times.
I was supposed to pick up the plate today, and no Bob.
Finally, late one afternoon, Bob snuck in. So did I. Hey, Bob. Rob Wolchek from Fox 2. You want to answer my questions now? Apparently not. What about this guy Rocky? Don't you care about him? What about Terry Smith? No response. Peter Franco. Richard Kolb. Finally, Bob realizes I'm not leaving until I get some answers.
This shouldn't have happened. I always expedite promptly, quickly, and it did happen.
And now, the promise. If I called you in 2 weeks, this would all be taken care of.
Absolutely.
Okay.
More than enough time.
Okay.
Are you kidding?
2 weeks came and went. Bob never came through. I managed to get Rocky his title, but it seemed my bad guy Bob was just speeding away into infinity. Did I say speeding in infinity? Remember that fancy Infinity Bob sped away from me in? That car had been reported as stolen. Now Bob's under arrest. He was supposed to sell that car for a customer. Instead, he took it for himself. Bob wasn't supposed to be driving that car. In fact, Bob wasn't supposed to be driving at all. He lost his license after his third drunk driving arrest. Bob's new charges: felony larceny for taking the Infiniti, bad plates, phony ID, and more. What's Bob got to say now? Bob, you want to talk to me?
No comment.
I was even there as he was led off to jail, and I had to ask him one more time. Bob, what about Rocky and Terry's title? You never got it.
Rocky got his title.
Got any help from you? What about Terry?
Terry's title sitting in my office.
Whatever happened to him? Why don't you
No
give
other
it to him?
comment.
No ethics, no license, no titles, no problem. Bob Bennett, you're in the Hall of Shame. Now, there is one good thing I could say about Bob Bennett. He's got a nice father. Bob's dad paid off the two guys in the story Bob had written those bogus $16,000 checks to. Plus, he bailed Bob out of jail with $25,000 bucks. But Bob still owes people hundreds of thousands of dollars. We worked with the Secretary of State's office who helped us get Rocky his title. We're still working on Terry's title, but Terry seems a bit happier now. Last time I talked to him, I told him Bob Bennett had been arrested and put out of business. He smiled and said, "There is a God." Monica and Huel.
And the Fox 2 problem solvers, too.
Good job, Rob. Thanks.
He's a cussin' contractor, and he caught the eye of the Fox 2 Hall of Shame.
He's playing the name game, but problem solver Rob Wolchek has his number.
And you can tell, for father and son, he can kiss my European ass.
Paul is mad. Matt is mad.
We're going to have to proceed with both criminal and civil litigation.
These guys each run different construction companies called Father and Son. Matt's Father and Son has been in business for 30 years, is incorporated, has a contractor's license, and even has registered trademarks on his Father and Son logo and slogan. But Paul doesn't care.
You see that?
I see that.
Okay, that's my company.
Here's how this father and son feud started. Matt Vavona, the owner of this construction company, the one that's been around for a long time, started getting calls from unhappy customers. Problem was, they weren't his customers. But the callers insisted they'd hired Father and Son Construction to work on their homes. So Matt got a hold of one of the unhappy customers' contracts. You guessed it, they were from another construction company calling itself Father and Son. So I went to work and called the number on the contract, and it led me straight to Paul. Real name, Pavel F. Kelbas. I have no idea what the F stands for, but I do know his favorite F word.
You guys put me in the TV, that's mother.
I try to get Paul to tell me why he thinks he can use the Father and Son name. Well, I want to talk to you about this.
They're not in that dam.
Not in what, the camera?
In the camera, sure.
Why is that?
Because I don't want.
Well, I want. After much coaxing and a few more swear words, he tells me he's got a document proving he's the real Father and Son. May I see it?
I don't want to show you nothing.
Why not?
Because I don't want.
You don't want to?
No.
Finally, Paul shows me his DBA. That's a county filing claiming he's doing business as Father and Son Construction. May I look at it?
You can see it.
Okay.
See?
So you have a DBA. Now, this doesn't necessarily allow him to use the name of the incorporated and licensed Father and Son Construction, Matt's company, but more importantly, I need to find out if Paul should be doing contractor's work at all. Does he have a license? Paul, do you have the paperwork or not? Do you want to show me?
It's my business what I have.
You're not answering whether you have a contractor's license.
I don't say I have, I don't say I don't have.
Now, take a look at this. This is one of the homes where Paul's company has done work. What Paul's done is not only shoddy work, but illegal work. Paul's got no license to do it. I checked with the state. He doesn't have a contractor's license and never has. And just because Paul has that DBA filing doesn't mean he can use the Father and Son name. Does any of this matter to Paul? No way.
It's my name, and I'm going to use it.
How about this name? Paul the Unlicensed Contractor. And I'm going to use it when I put you in the Hall of Shame.
Shame on you.
Welcome to the Grandmont 1 subdivision, Northwest Detroit's pride community. Take a ride down any of Grandmont 1's clean streets and you'll see beautiful older brick houses meticulously cared for. That is, with one exception. There are people that think your cars look junky out there.
And I don't give a what they think.
His name's Robert Taylor, and before you think he's just the neighborhood nut,
Somebody has been with me.
wait till you hear what this guy does for a living.
Well, maybe. No, wait a minute.
Well, hey, don't go yelling at me, pal. But first, meet Grandmont One's Association President, Ron Johnson.
We're trying to keep our neighborhood to the standards it always been.
Ron and his committee meet each month to make sure everyone that lives here keeps their houses looking nice. Once in a while, they might find a neighbor with a junky car on the lawn. They might find a neighbor with a dangerous, broken-down refrigerator stuck on their property. Windows with temporary patches that just plain look ugly. Then there's Robert Taylor's house, a place that has all of the above and more. Taylor's backyard looks more like a junkyard.
Our organization will help you clean up your area if you have a reason that you cannot do it on your own.
Offers of neighborly help Robert Taylor's been turning down for years.
Our opinion is it's a safety hazard, health hazard, and environmental hazard to the community.
The Detroit police agree. So this isn't just an eyesore, this is a danger.
Yes. Yes.
Take a look at all the tickets Environmental Officer Todd Ward has issued Robert Taylor.
He's made a mockery of the system.
Tickets for having rat harbors, 9 inoperable cars leaking oil and gas, a dangerous, dilapidated garage, a gate blocking a public sidewalk. Officer Randy Coleman's ticketed Taylor too. Taylor's response? To cuss the officer out.
A lot of citizens don't want to be involved because they're afraid of him.
Well, I'm not, so let's pay Trash Yard Taylor a little visit. Hi there, I'm Rob Wolchek from Fox News. Can I ask you a few questions? How come you got all these junky cars in your backyard?
Oh, you're full of
And good day to you too, Mr. Taylor. I want to know why you got all these cars in your backyard.
It's my right.
No, it's not. This is a neighborhood.
I have
This is a neighborhood. Do you think that people...
I've been here 30 years.
Listen, buddy, you don't have to call me names. I'm just asking you some questions.
Well, you're asking the wrong questions.
All right, well, let's try a different question. What about the cops? The cops have written a bunch of tickets to you, haven't they?
Yes, I would like to talk about the cops. Dockery and Cook committed perjury. Flat lies.
I don't know who they are. I'm not interested in them. I'm interested in police officers that have given you tickets. Why are you kicking mud onto me?
No.
Okay, well, what are you doing then? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Maybe this guy's a nut. Maybe he can't hold down a job, doesn't have the money to fix up his property. Nope. See that badge around his neck? This guy's got a good job. He works as an engineer for the City of Detroit Water Department. There are people that are upset about you. You're
the people.
Well, we know Robert Taylor doesn't care what I think, doesn't care what his neighbors think, doesn't care what the cops think. And I guess Robert Taylor doesn't care what the judge thinks either, because he was supposed to be in court here this morning. Now there's a warrant for his arrest. Since Taylor had been ignoring all those tickets and then didn't even have the decency to show up to court when ordered to appear, the judge threw the book at him when he finally did drop by. His sentence? 30 days in the Wayne County Jail. Maybe when Robert gets out, he'll change his attitude towards others.
I don't give a what they think.
Maybe not. You know, Robert, I'll bet you think it's pretty lousy that you're in the county jail, but in your own words, I don't give a what you think. You're in the Hall of Shame.
Shame on you if you can't pass through. I said shame, 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 shame on you.
The holidays are a time for family to be together. Unfortunately, the Sumter brothers have been apart for a while. See, Nelson Sumter is in jail, but tonight there's a happy reunion. Nelson and his brother Omar are together again. Yep, today Omar got locked up too. Looks like Omar Sumter made Santa's naughty list.
How do you find the defendant, Omar Sumter?
Guilty of what? Guilty of false pretense over $20,000.
And that was just one of 4 guilty verdicts that came down on Omar in Judge Brian Sullivan's court today.
Guilty of identity theft, guilty of money laundering, second degree, guilty of conspiracy.
Tonight, Omar's in jail for doing the same kinds of things that landed him in the Hall of Shame years ago.
I'm going to stand here in front of your damn camera and tell you face to face that's my house. You understand that? Did you get that or did you get that?
In 2002, I confronted Omar Sumter. A homeowner named Gail said Omar had fooled her into signing papers she didn't understand.
I didn't know what power of attorney meant.
She said he then took out a mortgage on her house, evicted her, and kept the money. Others told me Omar was taking rental deposits on homes he didn't even own.
I gave him $1,450. $1,345.
I even caught Omar in what appeared to be a shady rental deal.
$1,500 a month? No. I mean to move in.
Oh, yeah.
And put him in the Hall of Shame a second time. What are you doing? You still doing rental properties? You're going to call your lawyer? Well, Omar, is this your house here?
Yes, it is.
Are you this house? Oh, come on, Omar. You were so talkative before. How come you're not talking? Are you renting this house? Do you know how many people called me, Omar, after?
I don't give a
Many people, you don't about anybody except yourself. You're ripping off a bunch of poor people. And now a jury agrees. Omar went on trial for being the setup man in a scheme to swindle a 72-year-old woman out of her home. Omar's partner in crime, his brother, Nelson Sumter. Nelson was convicted last month on more than 40 counts in the home theft scheme. Abed Hammoud prosecuted both Nelson and Omar Sumter.
They pretended to buy the house. In turn, they secured a fake power of attorney and sold the house without the owner's knowledge and took the money. That's in essence what the evidence showed in both their cases.
You know, it's good for family to be together for the holidays, even if it is in the Wayne County Jail. Nelson and Omar Sumter, you're in the Hall of Shame. Nelson Sumter's sentencing is Friday. Omar's is later this month. The prosecutor in this case credits the Wayne County Sheriff's Department's Deed Fraud Task Force for these convictions. It's a new unit set up right in the Registrar of Deeds office. So far, they have a 100% conviction rate. 2 more bad guys locked up tonight, thanks to them.
You never know who you're dealing with online, even if you're just buying car parts.
One guy called himself Super Surge, and he was cruising, selling parts to Mustang enthusiasts across the U.S., but it's the end of the road for this guy.
Problem solver Rob Wolchek is taking him on a ride down the Hall of Shame highway. Rob?
Yola, Monica, customers say the Mustang parts this guy was sending off were bad, and the guy who sent them, even badder. Meet Mustang Billy.
No, excuse me, I'm trying to,
Okay, well, excuse me, I'm trying to talk to you. A motorman with a secret.
He's good. I have to admit he's slick.
These guys say he used a fake name on the internet.
You knew him as Surge, right?
Yeah, Super
Surge.
Yeah, Surge Metro.
And sold them some bad parts. Here's some stuff between you and the guy over in Warren.
That is correct.
Right? Well, look at the date, June 2007.
That's correct.
You weren't supposed to be on the internet.
That's correct, I was not.
You're lying to me. This guy's got a pretty good reason to lie about selling bad parts on the internet. In fact, about doing anything on the internet. Mustang Billy's about to hit the skids again.
My engine blew up.
Trevor lives in Maryland, races a 427 replica Shelby Cobra. He logged on to Corral.net, a Mustang enthusiast website, looking for a new engine.
I saw his ad. It was what I wanted. The price was really good.
The ad was placed by Super Surge 07, someone from Southeast Michigan who'd been a member of the online community since March of 2007.
Maybe Surge is his nickname. I don't know. I mean, his real name is William Stephen Marks.
Trevor knows. Super Surge gave him his phone number online and they talked.
He definitely knows his stuff about cars and engines, and he passed all my tests.
Trevor wired $3,000 to Super Surge's mother's bank account for the supposed custom engine. He picked it up a few days later at the Baltimore airport.
What I got was a mismatched hodgepodge of junkyard parts, cast parts, and basically something that wouldn't even run.
Jason is a Mustang man in Mississippi who also saw an ad online for parts he needed for his Stang. He says he got ripped off too.
Probably about $1,500, $2,000.
is what it cost me to put the right stuff in there. It's supposed to be in there.
Now, these fellas know cars. I mean, check it out. This dude's got the engine in his living room.
And the valves are not the size he told me they were.
Remember, Jason and Trevor are each 1,000 miles away from the internet seller. But Brian lives right here in Michigan, in Warren.
These are the parts that he brought over.
But he was initially drawn to Super Surge the same way, on the computer.
I gave him $520.
$520 for a Bennigan's bag full of junk. These sure weren't the parts Surge showed him when Brian went to his Birmingham house. Yeah, that's the one with the Mustang parked there. The Mad Mustang men began sharing their miserable experiences online. They were joined by other Stangers who say they got stinky parts from the same guy, William Marks of Michigan. So who is this guy? Someone who's been in a whole bunch of trouble. He's been busted for trying to take cars, furnishing alcohol to minors. Plus, he pled guilty to criminal sexual conduct, 3rd degree. He got arrested trying to get pictures developed at a CVS store. Pictures of him having sex with a 15-year-old girl. The guy's a registered sex offender. After prison, parolee Bill was told he couldn't have access to computers or the internet until September of 2007. But according to these guys, he was online selling parts way before then. Time for me to bore out this guy's piston. Did you ever use the name Surge Mitchell?
No.
You don't use the name Surge Mitchell?
No, excuse me. I'm trying to.
Okay, well, excuse me. I'm trying to talk to you. You don't use the name Surge Mitchell?
I don't need to talk to you
Super
guys.
Surge 07?
If you guys need to talk to me or something like that, you can talk to my attorney if you need to
No,
talk
I
about
want to talk
something.
to you. Hey, listen, dude.
I'm going back inside.
Did you rip this Trevor Poquette guy off? You ever heard that name? Trevor? Doing internet scams, parts. We'll be waiting for you, bud. Mustang Billy goes back into the auto parts store he's visiting, and we wait. And wait. He must get the idea we're not leaving, because finally he comes out. I need to know if you're Surge, Super Surge 07. Is that you?
No, I'm not.
Who is that?
A friend of mine. That I'm not talking about at the moment.
Okay. And so why did Trevor send money off to your mom?
To pay for a motor that he feels that he didn't get the right motor.
Right. You got Brian Little. You know who Brian Little is? Guy over in Warren says you sold him a bunch of junky parts.
Yeah.
Gee, for a guy who says he's not Super Surge, he sure seems to know a lot about Surge's bad business deals. What about Jason Moody? Guy down in Mississippi. Says the same thing.
Mississippi.
What's that?
I don't recall Mississippi or anything like that. I've dealt with somebody in Louisiana, I thought.
Now I start showing him some of the emails, like this one from last June. Well, look at the date, June 2007.
That's correct.
You weren't supposed to be on the internet.
That's correct. I was not.
That's not you?
No, it isn't.
That's not you communicating with him?
No, it isn't.
Well, who is it?
It's a friend, sir.
See, here's the thing. Isn't that your phone number, dude? 248-224. That's you, right?
That is correct.
Well, why is Surge 07 doing it? You're lying to me. You're totally lying.
If you'd like to talk to my attorney, sure you can.
Okay. Hey, Mustang Billy, I got a corral for you. It's in the Hall of Shame. I did talk to Bill Marks' attorney. He told me the sex between Bill and the 15-year-old girl was consensual. He also said his client is not a scam artist and has been making deals, selling parts for years. I don't know if any of that really helps his case, but that's what the guy said. Marks is not on probation now and is allowed to sell parts on the computer, although he wouldn't tell me what name he's currently using. Yola Monica?
Well, Rob, that's kind of scary. You have to wonder, what can we do to protect ourselves from this kind of guy?
You know, I don't know. The guy wasn't supposed to be on the computer in the first place. I guess you could check the sex registries and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, you're taking your chances buying stuff over the internet, I guess.
Buyer beware.
Yep.
Right. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.